Against this right back, Charlie's definitely.
People deluded, I'm back again.
Come on, Ian, bro. Come on.
There's always just that active red flag defending. I think it's like. There's always just that active red flag defending. I think it's like. There's always just that active red flag defending. I think it's like.
People deluded, I'm back again.
Come on, Ian, bro. Come on.
Thank you very much for that, Ian Wright. People deluded, I'm back again. Improv live stream, people. I can't lie, I was just reading Arsenal news and I thought, not. What better way to read Arsenal news or see what's going on with my football club than without you guys, people. So, yeah, appreciate you lot tuned in. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, and, of course, good night to everybody concerned. Obviously, appreciative to you lot, not only tuned in, but obviously we've had 2 other live streams and a bunch of other content uploaded across my Twitch and YouTube. Shout out the Twitch ones. One love. Any comments, get them in. Smash the like button, subscribe if you haven't, and make sure you turn on your notification bell, better yet. Again, we'll get into the news in just a second. Again, CS, you don't have to thank me, man. Thank you for tuning in. Partey injury, again, is a joke. Again, I'd be wary before, making comments, before we actually look at what's being said. But I hear you. We can't afford injuries to anyone. GG with the surprise stream before I get off work. Minor. I don't know how much we're playing Saka at this moment. I literally saw the Daily Mail pull it on Google / obviously on Twitter. We'll have to know. Again, you're hearing 300 grand a week. I don't think his base salary will be 300k a week. We've seen what that's done. We need to, not that I care that Saka's young and getting it in any walk of life. If your talent and the skill you have dictates how much you get paid, if you're doing the job like Saka is doing for club or country, you get paid what you want. So I don't really mind. I'm not really one to talk about earnings and stuff. And I don't think Saka is one of them guys to get disillusioned, even though money has probably corrupted, bigger characters than Bukayo Saka. If he's earned it, why not? But for what it's worth, I don't think he's getting 300 grand a week. There'll probably a lot of favorable bonuses and stuff, depending on, what he achieves at Arsenal individually and collectively. Same goes for country. And obviously there's probably some, what would even be the word for it? Image rights involved as well. Let's be honest, Saka is one of the most marketable footballers on the planet right now. You're seeing I don't want to look at footballers like this, but you're looking at it from a brand perspective. The man's there with Kim Kardashian. He's always in the forefront of England. All of these things are happening as a result of the man's ability. So there's probably that sort of red tape as well. Indirectly, obviously, Bukayo Saka signing a new deal must be, seen as a positive fundamentally because he stays at the football club. He's somewhat convinced with what Mikel Arteta and Edu are trying to do in the short, medium, and long term. So I'm here. I'm here for it, but I don't think that will be his base salary, man. Again, Twitch gang, one love. Smash the like button if you haven't. We'll get into the news in just a sec. We all are hoping there's no Partey injury. Shout out CeeLo. Give Saka the keys to the Emirates. Give him the keys to give him what he wants, man. And generally, obviously using City as a guide point, Haaland and Alvarez have been there 2 minutes. There's talks of new deals. I love the fact that Saka does put pen to paper if and when. Obviously, that ties in with Martinelli, hopefully Saliba. You're hearing indirectly Benjamin White, Ramsdale, Odegaard are the next in line. We've got a couple of 2025 contracts to decide. Odegaard on paper at this moment in time. Balogun, for example, as well. I don't know if there's options to renew by another year and things. Thomas Partey, ironically, the man in question. And probably a couple of others. We obviously know what we're doing with the contracts that run out in 2024 and 2023. Things can change, but you'd imagine the future is somewhat decided. Tavares is 2025 as well. But where I'd assume off the top of my head, Cedric, Ainsley Maitland-Niles, Marie, Pepe, these kind of guys, Runnison potentially as well. It's probably decided what Arteta and the team's going to do, man. I try to have a good work rate, man. Again, it is what it is, man. Running is change, man. I'm here for it, and plus it's not my money, young guy, get your P's and get your generational wealth. But on that, Bukayo Saka new contract will see him earn almost 15 million a season at Arsenal, with informed winger set to be best paid player at the Gunners on 300 grand a week. Again, we have to remember the papers very rarely know exactly what's going on in the contract. Potentially, Bukayo Saka, his advisors and Arsenal could be laughing at these mouth-watering sums. And obviously, there's probably an element of clickbait. Smash the like button if you haven't. But Saka deserves that. He's the poster boy. Obviously, he deserves that. But indirectly, you know, if we're bringing in players of Saka's caliber and beyond that, that has a knock-on effect, and there's nothing foreign to that. If I'm a footballer that Arsenal want to buy, let's just say I'm a left winger of similar stature or the same, I'm doing the thing Saka is doing. Naturally, when I'm signing for Arsenal, I'm going to say, "What, your top earner Saka? He gets this. I think I should get this," and then naturally there'll be a common ground. Couldn't be happier, man, because it's not my money. Hopefully, Saka will earn a good deal. But apparently, Bukayo Saka will earn close to 15 million a season when he finally signs his new contract with Arsenal. The Gunners attacker is emerging as one of the players of the season and underlined his brilliance as one of Europe's football premier footballers on Sunday with a brilliant goal in England's 2-0 win over Ukraine. Starboy stuff. Certain Starboys are not even getting on the pitch at Bayern Leverkusen. It's crazy. Last month, allegedly, the Daily Mail reported that Saka had agreed in principle a new long-term deal worth a minimum of 10 million a season. However, sources have indicated that the true value of his deal, inclusive of bonuses and other attached payments, is closer to 15 million, taking his weekly wage to around 300 grand per week. The contract, once signed, will make Saka the best paid player at the club and one of the biggest earners in Arsenal's history. So yeah, and it ties in with what we've been doing with contracts. Not the same, but as I was saying earlier, to another player, Eddie Nketiah as well, and actually indirectly Granit Xhaka. The deal, however, will be short of Mesut Ozil's previous 350k per week salary at the Emirates. The 21-year-old has become a vital player for club and country over the past 12 months. A host of clubs, including Manchester City, have been monitoring Saka's future, given his current deal is due to expire at the end of next season. But Saka has privately made clear that he wants to stay in North London, having been convinced of the club's direction under Mikel Arteta. The forward is eager to start his Champions League career, and barring an almighty collapse, Arsenal will qualify for the competition for the first time since 2016-17. So let's keep going. You know, you did see a couple of reports earlier that Arteta and the man here, Bukayo Saka, was spotted in a London restaurant. Since the start of August, Saka is averaging a goal contribution every 116.4 minutes in all comps for both Arsenal and England. And I was watching every goal he scored in the Prem so far this season. He's a big game player. Like, name a big club he ain't scored against. And also, the majority of his goals up until a certain point were either equalizers or winners. So the man's doing it on and off the field. Get your money, man. Ain't nothing to do with me. We have plenty of footballers that, not that, and again, I don't really care what they're getting, but they weren't, you know, it weren't applying on the pitch. Saka is doing that. Inevitably, you know, there are going to be times where, you know, naturally to any footballer where he's struggling to score, it's not quite everything he touches turns to gold. And you can imagine the headlines that are written, but adversity comes into this. As I said in the live stream earlier, the biggest thing I like about Saka, and I don't think he's ever lacked self-belief, but especially in goal scoring positions, he genuinely believes. I personally think the penny's dropped, and it's not just now a young man living his dream playing in the Premier League. He's thought, I arrive here. I'm here for a reason. I'm as good or as bad as anyone on the pitch. One good game or bad game doesn't define me. Same with moments, as we've seen with the Euros in him. So yeah, it is what it is in that regards, people. Skipping to Thomas Partey, we'll circle back. Chris Hughton allegedly said, the Ghana manager, on Thomas Partey not playing versus Angola. Today, Thomas has a small injury issue, and we felt it was too big of a risk to start him. So I take that as a bonus. We saw that Arsenal's physio has flown out there. They've not taken a risk. You're obviously in bigger contention to play for Arsenal against Leeds. What I'm a bit scared is, when did you get this injury, and what is this small injury? You know, small injuries, every footballer's got them, but at the same time, is it a small one that could lead to a big one, really, which is kind of scary, and you can see these images here. But, you know, Arsenal have sent the physio out there. Who knows what his input's been? Apparently, this was posted on Facebook, people. These pictures were obviously prior to the game. He's been on the bench. Again, for those who can't see, I don't know if this ice or whatever's been applied to Thomas Partey's file, whatever, but there you have it. Chris Hughton has confirmed Partey was not used versus Angola, as he had a small issue and they did not want to risk him. Again, at this point in the season, we can't afford to risk anyone, can we? So that's where Thomas Partey is concerned, people. So long story short, he was left out of the game. Once again, Chris Hughton said Thomas Partey has some small issues. We felt it was too big of a risk to start him against Angola. So big up Chris Hughton, people, because he could have helped one of his former clubs out in Spurs, really. They need all the help they can get, you know. They said certain man were better than Arteta. I see Arteta flying out at the top of the table. I don't know where certain man are. The international break came in and they ain't even cleaned out their desks. But DiMaggio says Arsenal or Liverpool is the most likely destination for Declan Rice. Understand Man City were also interested in him last year as Fernandinho planned on leaving City. Every week, Declan Rice is going to get linked to a new club, whether that's the Big Six or whatever. So yeah, shout out to you lot, people. Again, love for that. Centre personal medic. Exactly. So maybe he's had an input. Again, maybe, you know, Chris Hughton. Again, if I'm Chris Hughton, let's be honest, I hear Partey. I don't want the guy to get injured, but my job is Ghana, winning for Ghana. If I feel Thomas Partey, which is probably the likely case, can start and he can help us, I assume it was an African Cup of Nations qualifier, maybe World Cup, I don't know. But if it is a must-win, play the guy. I don't really care about what Arsenal do. My job is to get this win. You know, and maybe our physios are sat there and maybe he did want to play him and the physio said, listen, what's going on here? And let's be honest, you know, the physio snitching to Arteta about everything. So we love to hear that. Arsenal want to complete double West Ham raid, which includes Declan Rice. Arsenal are interested in West Ham midfielder Lucas Paqueta as the Gunners look to swoop for 2 of David Moyes' players. Mikel Arteta is planning to move for Declan Rice in the summer, and the England star has been linked to the Emirates for some time. However, the North London club could swoop for another West Ham star in the form of Lucas Paqueta. According to a report from Spain, allegedly, if West Ham get relegated this season, then the Gunners will look to bring the 25-year-old in this summer, as Mikel Arteta will need to add quality depth ahead of their return to the Champions League. As I said in the summer, when we signed Fabio Vieira, who's completely different, but more or less takes up those positions to go with, obviously, we've got Odegaard, we've got Smith Rowe, we now have, obviously, in the months that have passed, we've got Trossard. Obviously, I like Paqueta, but I just don't think that's an immediate skill set we immediately require, definitely if we're going to add to players who can play centrally, people. So probably only one West Ham player joins us. And also, I'm not doubting that there's an admiration at Arsenal for him. We did have a look at him, but, you know, it's a case of creative journalism. You know, Edu got the Brazilian link. We previously linked with him. Obviously, with what West Ham are facing currently in the Premier League, it makes sense. Man said, home time, fly home. Wonder how this will affect negotiations with Saliba. Probably not significantly, but if you're Saliba, you're going to sit there and say, listen, I'm not an idiot. I'm not going to get 300k or whatever Saka's got because I'm not Bukayo Saka. And I'd love to see what Martinelli's doing. What can you do for me? I'm more targeting that Martinelli sort of age range. And also, if you're an agent, especially for these young star boys, for the club, it's good to get you tied down to a 4 or 5 year deal. If you're them agents, like you see with Saka, because we've kind of been in this contracting with him a few, you always try and get them with these 3 years, maybe an option of a 4th, but, you know, just so in every 18 months, really, if they keep doing what they're doing, like Saka, who's twice the player, as scary as it is, than he was when he signed his last deal, you know, you're always in a position to say, listen, he's doing the business on and off the pitch. Can we get a new contract? So hopefully we get these boys tied down. I have liked how Arteta and Edu are a lot more proactive with contracts, not even the ones that are immediately running down. Saliba, Martinelli, Saka at the time, all contracted until 2024 or whatever. So yeah, Bim Paqueta, 15 million over how many years, DJ? I suppose out of the duration of his contract or whatever, you know, we have to get a mathematician in, but that's what the article said. It said it equates to just under 300 grand a week. Again, it might be more some weeks, it might be less. You'd imagine if he's his agent, you're pushing for goal bonuses, you're pushing for any sort of personal accolades that Saka achieves, anything he does for England individually or collectively, anything Arsenal achieve individually or collectively, whether that's qualifying for the Champions League, winning titles, etc. You know, and obviously, you know, the more he keeps getting better, you're going to have to keep giving him new contracts, which is just a line of business that's in all jobs. If you know, that company show their worth. Carrying on the theme, Caicedo from Brighton remains Arsenal target for the summer. After being rejected by Real Sociedad's Martin Zubimendi, Arsenal has turned its attentions to Brighton's 21-year-old midfielder, Moses Caicedo. The Ecuadorian is expected to cost around 70 million, which could be a stumbling block for the Gunners. But we hear that's what we want to pay for Declan Rice if it gets to that. 140 on both of them, I'm not too sure, but surely it's not. And this is the merry-go-round we're going on, really and truly. Today, if you look at all the reports, shout out to everyone who was here earlier, it seems like we've switched our attentions to Moses Caicedo and we'll be back to Declan Rice tomorrow. So we'll have to see, man. There's a role for both of them, you know, really and truly. I wouldn't begrudge Arsenal at all if they was to spend what they need to spend to get Declan and Caicedo or anyone else. You know, I'd love to sign Manu Kone. He's allegedly available for 50-odd million euros. Apparently, Arsenal boss Mikel Arteta, however, is determined to sign Caicedo and has made him his top priority for the summer transfer window with a transfer budget of 150 million. I know transfer fees ain't paid up front, so you could probably work around it. But Declan Rice and Caicedo, that's a fat chunk out of that perspective, Kitty, wouldn't it be? And I'm not too sure I believe that because I know it's not all up front, but at some point, you made a mad bid for Mudryk. and he's not Premier League proven. My man, he's been in front of, not that long, but he's been in front of our eyes. So we'll have to see. Arteta will be hoping to secure the services of the highly rated midfielder. It remains to be seen whether Brighton will agree to the transfer, but with Arsenal potentially qualifying for the Champions League and even winning the Premier League title, I don't look at the league table, the club could have extra funds to spend on transfers. So again, it's hello whispers at this moment in time, people. Jesus, for what it's worth, apparently made a private vow to, Big Gabby on the day he signed for Arsenal. I think he was asked to pick someone, people. He said, I think I picked Gabby Jesus because he's won the Premier League a lot. He's played a lot of games. He has big experience in this league. Okay, what else did he say? When he came to Arsenal on the first day, he looked at me. This year, if everyone works together, we'll win this league. He has good experience, takes his experience with the team. He speaks a lot for everyone. And he also said it's a big boost. The first step, we didn't know if it was the right game. He said, that's irrelevant. That's in relation to Mikel Arteta. I always hate the mirror because I can't lie, the layout of this is horrible. Gabriel's been speaking also on Saka. He said, for me, he's had the best moment. He's so good. If I'm a defender who plays against him, my head is in trouble because he's so hard. Why? Too strong 1v1. He helps the team a lot. And you see this season and last season, fair enough, he's so good. And obviously, he's drawn praise from his England manager, Gareth Southgate. Now, Sane's been linked with Arsenal again because there's probably rumblings in his personal life. But for what it's worth, going over it for the millionth time, Leroy Sané unsettled in Munich as frequent commutes to see wife and children in England revealed. Bayern Munich winger Leroy Sané has been frequently commuting from England to Germany to spend time with his family. It is thought that Sané's wife, Candice Brooke, no longer wants to live in Munich. And according to Blind, the American model has moved back to the UK, splitting time between London and Manchester. Sané missed training in Munich last week, commuting back to England to spend time with his family. Sané has reportedly been living by himself in Munich with his villa currently undergoing repair. So it's a turbulent time, and if your personal life isn't settled, you're maybe bringing that into work. Maybe there's a correlation with his form. I'm not sure if they'll let him go with obviously signing Thomas Tuchel, but with him commuting to Manchester and London, you can imagine the number of Premier League clubs, the rumours can start flying, people. And so we'll have to see. I don't believe them rumours, but it is what it is. Shout out to Saka for that. Apparently, Jack Wilshere has been speaking, and he's further pushing the Declan Rice propaganda. He's a midfielder who can do anything. Anyone who supports any club anyone who supports any club would want Dec to join. If I'm talking from a selfish point of view in North London, I think he'd be very good under Mikel's watch. Mikel would develop him, bring him on even more, and he would be massive for the team as well. I've had conversations with Dec and told him what he's doing is unbelievable. He's a captain of a big Premier League club and he's always learning. You have to be respectful to West Ham. That is his club, but his future is in his hands, and it's very exciting for him because he's got everything with him now and he's picking up more and more. He's growing into this man who could play anywhere. I'm looking forward to wherever he goes. I hope it's Arsenal. It'd be a massive signing and a perfect fit. So yeah, more on that. Apparently, again, don't know the credibility, but Arsenal have agreed in principle a new contract for William Saliba that will keep him at the Emirates until 2028 with an option of a further year. Still small details to iron out, but a deal's agreed in principle, hopefully. Earlier, we was linked, well, better yet, Real Madrid was linked to Gabriel Jesus. Could see why it'd be good for the squad, but unless it's an offer too far to turn down, you can imagine that is a non-starter. There's no point even reading that again. Smith Rowe names the two stars who totally changed the dynamic at Arsenal, with midfielder desperate to play a starring role as Gunners seek a Premier League title. What specifically, as he said? Zinchenko and Gabriel Jesus coming in felt like it changed the whole dynamic. Big up Smith Rowe. Nice to see him play and score for England. They've been there. They know what it's like to win stuff. I definitely say a lot of it was down to them coming in because their mentality is unbelievable. Zinchenko is one of the best technical players I've seen. I can't believe City let him go. Fair enough. And he said, I've just got to make sure I stay fit as well. And when the manager needs me, I'm going to be ready to perform. Facts, really. Manu Kone will be one of the big names on the market, says Fabrizio Romano. Understand he could leave Gladbach for a minimum of 50 million euros plus add-ons as price tag. Chelsea, Paris Saint-Germain and Man United are interested in the midfielder. Race is open. Smash the like button for me. If it's up to me, we get involved in that. Enzo Lafie, who, I'd have questions over his physicality in the Prem, but again, I think those could be squashed very quickly. I think he's quite a tenacious player, and I think he's all right, really. I don't think he changes our football club, but if he was to join and be part of the squad, I'm all for it. And for what it's worth, apparently he wants to leave Lorient. Again, we'll have to see what his future holds, but he's been doing all right for a couple of years. It's time for me to leave Lorient. I no longer extend. I hope to leave this summer so that my transfer brings money to Lorient. Fair enough. Do your thing. Apparently, Arsenal want to extend Captain Martin Odegaard to a new and improved deal until 2030. That would be a big deal for the 24-year-old who has a bag of potential as well as doing great currently. Arsenal ready to prioritise midfielder Moise Caicedo for summer transfer, allegedly. You know, Arsenal are targeting the Brighton midfielder once again as a top priority for the upcoming summer transfer window to bolster their midfield for next season. The Gunners made 2 bids to sign the 21-year-old Ecuadorian international during the January transfer window, but the Seagulls, as you know, folks, turned down both. Brighton was adamant in their stance that Caicedo was not for sale and later ended up extending the midfielder's contract. Again, it's until 2027, so we'll have to see, really. You know, 1 minute we're linked with Caicedo, then Zubamendi, then Declan Rice, and tomorrow Benacer even, and then there'll always be a new one, really and truly. So, boy, we're gonna have to read into that at a later date. What are you lot saying, people? Come on, big up Bukayo. Martinelli signed a new one recently. We're good. Is what it is. Check out the stream. Shout out the Malaysians. Don't forget to smash the like button. Saw some articles saying Qatar want to buy Odegaard if they get United ownership. Every player's got a price, man. Ghana coach kept Thomas out. Sounds like a niggle that he didn't want to put him out, or Arsenal physio said no, he isn't good to go. Either way, Kay, it's nice to see correlation. It's nice to see that Partey hasn't been put out there and risked himself and obviously picked up a serious injury. I'm the same with Sane. It makes sense. It's a tough one with Sane because you've worked with Arteta. You know this league. I do think at 27, you're at the right age to offer something to this football club. You're good direct competition / depth where Saka's concerned. You could play on the left, similar to Zinchenko and Jesus. You've been with Pep and achieved all them things. And you're obviously, if you're a fullback, you don't want to play against Leroy Sane. So if it's on ability and all of that, and the relationship with Arteta, and the fact of you're 27, and I think Sane's shown periods of good form, but I never really think he's taking his game to the next level. Maybe we could provide that, although if you're not doing that at Bayern Munich, there's issues. So it's not the ability thing. But then when you look at the rest of it, you're going to be on big money. Saka's going to be on 300k odd. He's not going to get that, but he's going to be on something. Pepe's on 140. Be on more than that, for example. I don't care what you earn, but when if we're going to sign someone of Sane's stature, I'd rather them not have like skeletons in their closet sort of thing, because I kind of want an instant impact. I don't really want the development. Leave the development thing to Nelson, Saka, Martinelli, and respectfully, and them kind of guys. I want an instant impact, and it seems like he has a lot of baggage. It seems like he carries a lot of injuries. Obviously, off the field, if things settle in his private life, you never know. But it just seems like it's like a project in sorts as well. But if Arteta sanctioned it, get it done. But I'm not too sure for that. I wouldn't want a player who cannot manage his personal life. I don't know about any of that, but I would say, come on now, man. You can't really. How much can you really control your personal life? Things happen, really. DG, who do you think he should sign for in the Prem? Who? Which player? DG, I'll come back to that. DG, what would you rate this window? Rice, Fresnadar, Diaby, and Thuram. It's a strong 7-8, really. DG Caicedo links give me Auer and Vlahovic vibes, plan B settings. I think he'll be on the list. I think we'll explore all our options, but a part of me thinks that ship has sailed, man. You never know. We might go back over it, but fundamentally, you don't know, really. We don't know what's going on in the back burners. It makes sense with Sane. High quality experience and depth. It's a Trossard smart move. But again, Trossard's low risk, though. Take nothing away from it, because on football, it is. Trossard knows the league, experienced, adaptable, fits the Mikel Arteta system, all of that jazz. And to be fair, as I always say, whether a guy costs £1 or 30 million, if they're not doing the job, it's too much money. But at the same time, it's low risk with Trossard. Can't imagine Trossard's coming and he's shaking up the wage structure. Can't imagine, we paid Brighton, probably even inflated fee slightly to Brighton. That's very different from what Bayern Munich are going to want for Leroy Sane, what Leroy Sane is going to want in terms of ages. And obviously, a part of signings, sometimes they go wrong. You look at the get-out fee. If Trossard wasn't the guy he's doing right now for Arsenal, we could get our money back, probably. For Sane, we've seen it before. Oh, Enzo Lafi. I hear that. Who do you think he should sign for in the Prem? I think he'll cook at Brighton or Brentford. I think it's one of them where I like him as a footballer. I would like him at our football club, but I need to see certain things. Sane is too injury prone, in my opinion. I can't lie. DG, what happens to Smith Rowe if Rice and Caicedo join our midfield? He's going to still have to learn to be an 8, but you're going to have to probably fight with Martinelli or Odegaard currently for their roles, really. Who's getting relegated? Shout, my guy. I don't know, man. It's difficult. If you're anything from 12th to 20th, it's Fugazi. It's very political, really and truly down there. I think Bournemouth are gone, personally. I think Forest will get dragged into that. For some reason, I think Everton and Southampton will get out of there, but at the same time, you're not out of there. Leicester are slyly, 1 minute they're creeping out of it and they're creeping back in. Palace could draw themselves out. Honestly, I don't know, man. Hey, big up my guy. Hey, man, we need to get you on this week. Give Saka 30 million contract. Give him anything he wants, man. As long as he keeps performing, who cares? And one love for the raid, my guy. As long as he's doing his job, who cares, man? Really, shout out the Twitch ones. Let's hope you're doing well and safe as well. Again, I hate to go on goal.com, but should we see what they're saying in relation to transfer BS as well? Not that I hate goal.com. I just hate to go on this part when I've done it several times. But once again, Arsenal prioritizing a move for Brighton midfielder Caicedo. Who knows, people? Because 1 minute we're going for Zubamendi again, then the next minute he doesn't want to go and whatnot, people. So I have to see, really. We've been linked with Ramos Højlund of Atalanta. We've joined the race for Romeo Lavia. West Ham's Declan Rice has apparently rejected another contract offer. We've been linked with the last few days over, making a move for Ilias from Barcelona. As you can see here, Leeds, Sevilla, AC Milan are also looking at him. We've been linked with Rafael Veiga, who obviously plays in Brazil. We've been linked with Brahim Diaz of Real Madrid. We've also been linked with Zubamendi of Sociedad all year, essentially. Again, Noah Okafor, we've previously spoken about Odegaard deals, Diaby. Such as so many times I've read this, I bet it's Benassia next. There you have it. We've been linked with Benassia again. Once again, Caicedo stuff, Gabby Vega links. We've been linked with Eden Hazard. Stay away from that. Julian Brandt as well as Xavi Simons, João Paulinho, and that wraps up that part, man. What's your maximum budget for Caicedo? I mean, I don't really have one, really. In an ideal world, let's be real, I like Caicedo, but from you're talking 50, 60, 70, 80, all the way to 100, we've already gone past it, really. So in the current day, ideally, I'd like to do it for 50 odd. 50, 60, I think 70 is a bit obsessive, but if you have to do it in it, really and truly. At the end of the day, if they sign him for whatever and he does the job and he gets better and better, why not? Who was better, Salah at 21 or Saka currently? Well, probably Saka at 21. I don't think Salah was a household name, at the age Saka is at. But, look at Salah. He's doing it towards the end of his career. I'm pretty sure Saka would want that as well. Be in this for the long term. Saka and Sane as options on the right would be mad. It would be, man. It would be. Smash the likes if you haven't. I was thinking Brighton or Villa, maybe Leicester if they come back. Julian Brandt has changed my mind. He's one of the best players in Germany right now. I have question marks over his physicality and not his mentality, but are you soft? Like, are you a dog in this? Are you like Martinelli? Like, he's just mad on it. We need like Zinni and Jesus. Are you or one of you one of the softer characters? I'm at a stage where I'll just blindly back whatever Edu does. They'll always have my support. I don't blindly back anything, and I'm open to being proven wrong or right or whatever, but they've earned my confidence. This is why you keep hearing me say it. Arteta wants it, make it happen, really. Because I was happy with Ramsdale, but I didn't know Ramsdale was as good as he is with his feet. I wasn't screaming to sign Benjamin White, and I was happy with his signing, but I didn't know how good he could be. So the talent ID, really, we've made some mistakes. Undoubtedly, we'll make some mistakes again. It happens in life. We'll make more good and bad signings. They've made mistakes already. Bringing in Willian, Cedric, Marie, obviously probably not selling Ainsley Maitland-Niles when we had a chance, and several others. And they'll make mistakes again. Currently, Tavares and Lokonga will see the jury still out on both players. Mistakes happen, but their hit rate has been better. Biggest flop, Richarlison, Mudryk, or Anthony, aka Beyblade. Well, again, I don't think Anthony hasn't hit the heights, but I think Anthony's safe to say out of them three, it's not Man United's Anthony, in my opinion. Oh, Mudryk for the hype. Ukrainian Neymar. We all saw the drama of him flirting with Arteta, all these things. I don't want to write a man off. He's taking a step up to a higher division league. Obviously, he's a young man and all of those things. He's joined in January, which was difficult. Look how some would say Martin Odegaard struggled on his initial loan spell. But for all the hype, you have to probably say him. Richarlison isn't a bad player, even though he's playing pretty bad at this moment in time. But what I do feel is everyone can see 60 million. Sure, Spurs fans, if they're listening, would agree. 60 million or whatever they paid for him was far too much, really and truly. Between Richarlison and Mudryk, if I had to bet on one, really and truly, to produce a bit, to be a better player for their club by this time next year, Mudryk, without a doubt. And Richarlison hasn't scored, Saliba, Lisandro Martinez, Benjamin White, he's lucky Tomiyasu was injured, or he might have scored, really and truly, So Richarlison hasn't done it. I mean, his best moments probably for Spurs been in the Champions League. Didn't he score a late goal or something in there? It's crazy. And we heard our club as well as Chelsea and obviously Spurs, who signed him, wanted Richarlison. That looks like a dodge bullet. essentially. Signing Sane will be like Mahrez at City. Good age, guaranteed instant impact. No training wheels rubbish. I was against it this morning, but it makes sense. Fair enough. The Arsenal hierarchy have to get their act together. Edu and Vidal need to pull out their fingers this summer. Hopefully they continue to do what they're doing, man. DG, what team do you want to win? Win what? DG, what was the moment when Arteta convinced you with 30? Looking back, his first press conference, but I'd say game is definitely one where we lost. I can't remember the team, but it's actually one where we lost. It's one where we lost. Do you know what? Yeah, it might. It's City, you know. It's City when Guendouzi was playing. Saka might have been playing right wing back. Actually, we lost, but you could see what he was trying to do. And I think generally there was a point, not so much now because we've got better players. We got to a point under Mikel Arteta where obviously the manager has to take responsibility. Smash the like button, shout the Twitch ones. The manager always has to take responsibility. But you could see certain things he was trying to do, and like, you know, we either didn't have the personnel who could play out from the back. Players didn't have the level of concentration game, etc., etc., etc. All or nothing changed my opinion on Arteta. United game for me. Southampton, Bournemouth, Forest. Mudryk still got time still. Anthony has earned more time, but Richarlison, oh my God, he's the worst signing value-wise of the season. There you have it. Also, remember when you said you could only rely on 9 players in the squad? How many now? We finally got some tugs in. Players I can rely on. Granit Xhaka is there. Whoa. Pay everybody in the squad, really. If you was, you know, obviously, because I think they've all earned that. If you was asking me to be manager now, I'm not going to lie to you. I'm looking to bring in some midfielders. Rob Holding, you can stay and hang around if you want. I'm looking to upgrade in that role as well. But, you know, I could do what Saka, for me anyway, Saka, Martinelli, Odegaard, Granit Xhaka, Thomas Partey when fit. But then again, can I really count you as reliable? That's the one thing against you, not your ability. So I wouldn't actually throw Partey in there. When you're fit, you're one of the reliable brothers. Jorginho off the field. You know what? I'd actually say El Nene because I don't think he's anything to scream and shout about. But I know there's certain competencies and certain things you're going to do in midfield whenever you play. But we probably should be upgrading on that. Gabriel, Saliba, Zinchenko, Kieran Tierney, Tomiyasu, even though he's made mistakes. Benjamin White, Aaron Ramsdale. Again, some of these guys make mistakes, but that's who I'd rely on. Trossard. Do you know what? Eddie's earned his way in there because, again, a bit like El Nene, I know you can do a job. Again, I don't really want guys to do a job, but I got relative faith in that. Probably missed out a number of players, man, really. Jury's still out on Fabio Vieira. I like him. I support you. You know, I like you as a footballer, but it'd be doing the players I've said a disservice. Smith Rowe, if I haven't made that clear, is probably injured again. Well, apparently he might be carrying a small knot, but fortunately he hasn't played due to a precaution. From January, I would say he was starting to grow, man. Only one maybe is Fabio Vieira, but I've got time for him. I say Partey, and I know a lot of people won't look at that is because you've stayed relatively fit this season by any stretch of the imagination. But you've still had your concerns and things like that. It's mainly the injuries and his durability. And I need to know if we're going to be in the Champions League next year, can I rely on you? This is why. And I know injuries happen and there's an element of misfortune, etc., etc. When Partey's fit, he's there, man. Yes, it is. Your choice of 3 players, who and why did you choose them for our current team? What do you mean? Your choice of 3 players, who and why did you choose them for our current team? Not sure what you mean. I would love Manu Kone. I think I've been explaining him the whole live stream. Would love us to just get Declan Rice purely because Mikel Arteta wants him. Do like what I see of that Zubamendi guy of Sociedad, but I don't know. I'm not the guy to ask, man. Really. Signed the TIG. So yeah, probably to go back to that question, probably Richarlison. Because at least Mudryk, the one thing you could say you could give him next season. I'm sure if you could offer Spurs fans back their money or even a 10 mil loss, they might take that for Richarlison tomorrow. But who knows? You can never write off anyone, really. Essentially. Gonyoto's a decent player, man. Apparently, he might be injured and out for the game against Arsenal on the weekend. Respectfully, I don't wish injury on anyone, but he's a player that can cause problems to Arsenal's team if he's on it. So hopefully he is out, man. You're in Leeds, have a couple of injury concerns of them. Final top 4 for you. Not a clue, man, but I would say relatively confident, you know, unless there's a mad collapse. Arsenal in the Champions League. I think Man United will be there. I think City would be there. 4th is where it gets debatable, and even 3rd, because again, when you just look at the data, Spurs are not that, as mad as it is for Spurs, with 10 games left, they're not that far from Man United. I know there's games in hand, but they're not that far. And when you look at, you know, where Spurs are and a couple of teams next to them, you know, outside chances of making Champions League could actually extend to Brighton and Fulham, Liverpool as well. You've got Newcastle there. So 4th place, it could be up for grabs, man. Would you buy Osimhen and bench Gabriel Jesus next season? I'd buy Osimhen, but I don't know if a bench made the best man win, man. Obviously, Jesus could indirectly operate out wide as well. You know, that's another option on the right or the left. Wasn't it in his last season? Big up in the circle. Wasn't it Gabriel Jesus last season? He was playing off the right for City. Seen him play left back at the Bernabeu for Man City before as well, really. So it gives us more options. But then again, the only thing that goes against Osimhen, I think you're born to score goals, but it does look like a couple of players go Italian league and they start looking a bit better than they may or may not be. I'm not too sure. I think, you know, if you got time, go on Google and look at what Fabio Capello said in relation to that. You might look at that. If you haven't smashed the like button, make sure you smash the like button, people. I can't lie, though. I'm going to let love and leave you lot, people. I'm going to chill off, have a shower, watch some Netflix, and see you lot all tomorrow with any other Arsenal news. I just thought it was important to just go live with you lot and look at Saka's new deal, allegedly. I appreciate all your talking points, your questions, etc., etc. As usual, if you haven't subscribed, smash the like button or turn on your notification bell. What are you doing? Twitch gang, make sure you're following on that. You lot stay safe, stay blessed, and I'll see you lot tomorrow, whenever, man. One love.
There's always just that active red flag defending. I think it's like.